Now we're going to show you how to change a membrane in GX150 or GX150 high flow. Eventually this membrane is going to clog up. Or even before it clogs, it'll biologically foul. That means there'll be some growth inside here, biological growths. The membrane usually gets kind of slimy. You may notice the TDS in your water raising a little bit, which could be biological growth, and it could be the membrane failing. And that's usually the sign of when it's time to change the membrane. So it's real simple. The first thing we do is turn off the incoming water pressure. Next thing we want to do is open the flush valve to relieve pressure from the system. Let all the pressure relieve. This is now a depressurized RO. And if you're using a pump or any kind of electronic float switch that we also make and sell, make sure that stuff is unplugged. I don't want any live electricity near a water filter. Unit's depressurized, no electricity is hooked up. Okay, so to change a membrane is very simple. First, I unhook this side of this is the input side of the membrane. You can see it. This white tube comes out of the carbon filter around the back of the unit into the membrane. So I'm going to push the collet in with my fingers and pull the tube out. Okay, so I can easily just pop the membrane off the housing, off the bracket, and just turn it. Like that. Make sure I do not lose that O-ring in the middle. And I simply pull the membrane out. Boop. Just like that. And now what I recommend actually is unhooking the housing completely and giving it a good wash. Over here on the test bench. If you got a brush, that's great. Get a brush out this. Use a little bleach if you want. Chlorine. Kill any biologicals that are in there. Now I'm going to take a new membrane. And with my new membrane, I'm also going to put a little bit of silicone grease on it. I'm going to grease up the O-ring side here. And I'm going to put some grease on this gasket. I want it nice and lubricated so I don't have any water escaping on the side of the membrane. And slide the side with the two O-rings down towards the two fittings. And push it in there all the way. You'll feel the O-rings seat nicely. And then add a little more silicone grease to that gasket. Add a little more yet to this gasket here. Grease it up really nicely. Don't over tighten these. Just like that. Give it a little wipe. I want to hook my tube back up. Now, which one's which? If I hold the membrane this way, the one on the top is the drain side, and the one on the bottom is the fresh side. Just like that. I'm going to snap it back in place. I'm going to hook up my input tube once again. Voila. Brand new membrane. I'm going to close my flush valve before I fire up the unit. And that's it. And once again, just like anytime you do a filter or membrane replacement, don't turn on the incoming water pressure full blast right away. Let the air purge out of the system. And I'll hold the drain and the RO line so you can see that. See the air bubbles come out. Here we go, bringing up the water pressure. See the air bubbles purging out? And there we go. Water's coming through that brand new membrane. Now again, just like when you purchased the unit or when you first fired it up, let the first 5 gallons of water go through this new membrane. There's glycerin in it in the membrane to keep it from freezing when it's in storage, and there's other, manufacturing processes that leave residues in the membrane. So run 4 to 5 gallons through it. What speeds up the process is opening the flush valve after a fresh membrane's been placed in. And let that run for about 4 to 5 gallons. It's going to run real quick now that I have a flush valve and it's wide open. If you want, you can speed up the process by hooking up a ball valve. Where's my ball valve? Here it is. To the RO side. Shut the RO side off completely. Now forcing all that stuff out the drain side of the membrane. After about 3, 4, 5 gallons, I can close the flush valve, and there we go. I got a brand new membrane.